or that guy or that woman. It has to be a proper description. And so the description I have for Mike is as follows. Mike is an envisioneer and runs the Microsoft Garage in New York City, which is a worldwide innovation program. This is a little bit like, in the sense of describing a person, it's a bit like saying the Encyclopedia Britannica has some words in it. Mike is an extraordinary character, can I use the word character? Being. An extraordinary being who may or may not be human, and has some fantastic insights to share with you on ideation and the creative process. So, round of applause, please, for Mike Pell.
Thank you, Maxim. It really is a huge honor to be here with everyone. My name is Mike Pell, and as I like to say, I'm from the future. I'm going to let you in on a secret. All of you are going to be changing the world. Why? Because you're here, because you listened to Maxim and Jay and Amy. You've got so much of a hint already about what's going to happen. I'm going to take you the rest of the way. Fair enough? Yeah. Okay. All right, here we go. So the reason that I like to say I'm from the future is for my entire career, I've always been ahead. Which, as most of you know, is great if you're people say, visionary, they really know what's going on. It's terrible in business, right? If you're not on time, you might as well just forget it. But we're going to do an exercise to help you all understand how to leap forward creatively. Right? That's what my talk is called, Leaping Forward. And for me, this has sort of been like a long, very, very long history. I've written a couple of books. This last one that I wrote, it's called The Age of Smart Information, where I actually told the story from the future and then helped people understand how we got there. It was a very simple premise. We all love to read, right? We all love words and text. In my future, and in your future, text is actually alive. No longer is it just, dead characters on a page that don't mean anything, that don't say anything. Every piece of text, every story, every narrative, every movie, every song can tell its own story. It's alive. It actually can do the things that we need it to do in the way that we need it to happen. If I'm outside and it's noisy, the information I'm trying to absorb will come through my earbuds. If I'm playing Xbox at home, I'll get that in a very multi-sensory sort of way. But it was a very simple premise. The idea was that we would all together be able to experience information in exactly the way that we needed it. Simple. Super simple idea. For now, what I want to explain is how we can all use our own powers, our own superpowers, to leap forward into the future. So this book that I wrote, people will look back at it, so I can have a little bit of satisfaction knowing that I was going to be right. Okay, but in business, in art, in education, being on time is more important. So the skill that I would like to sort of discuss from a creative standpoint today is how do we leap so far ahead that we're right, but we get to work towards it today. Fair enough? All right, we're going to do it. So my premise for all of you is that we don't think not only big enough, we don't think forward enough. In order for us to be able to leap ahead, we have to start from the optimal, start at the end. That's the easiest, most simple thing that I can tell all of you, is that if we don't start from the end, we're never going to get there. Incremental innovation is ridiculous, right? It pays the bills, it helps us to sort of creep across a little bit, but it doesn't get us where we want to go. The only thing that's truly going to get us where we want to go is having enough bravery, being bold, being insightful enough to just go all the way to the end. How do I do that? There's a couple of very, very simple things that I can tell you to help you to do that. Whenever you're given any kind of an opportunity, whether it's problem solving, doing a creative process, think of the absolute optimal solution, the best that it could possibly turn out as. And that's hard because a lot of us are very logical, we're creative people, but we have our logic side. And so when we get to the, okay, wait a second, we don't have enough money, I don't have the right people to do this, that technology doesn't even exist. We start getting caught in our own way. We're letting the constraints not really let us be creative in the way that we need to leap right? So I'm unconcerned with incremental improvement. I am completely concerned with going as far forward as we can with the idea that we're going to make it real. So in my job, running the Microsoft Garage, which, as Maxim says, is a worldwide innovation program, we help Microsoft employees take their passion and go do something with it, make it real. But a lot of those things are they're wild ideas. They're things that could change the world. And the only way that they're going to be able to do that is by letting go of constraint, by letting go of the things that would normally hold them back. So we're going to do this today, all of us. Okay? You go for this? All right. Let's take it, just for an example, let's take something that is a truly gigantic leap forward. Right? So for you, I want everybody to think about this. What is the thing that is the farthest leap forward that you can think of? And just blurt it out. Go, Amy. Go, Amy. Oh, the iPhone. Okay, great. Let's talk about the iPhone. Why was the iPhone a gigantic leap forward? In 2007, right? We had four things we had to keep track of. We had a phone that was WAP testing, right? We had a computer. We had ways to communicate, kind of primitive software at that point. And then we had photographs. But there was no way to combine them all together. And also, you can say five. It was you had your iPod, right? For music. But there was no way to do it all from the same device. So it was crazy when Steve Jobs stood on stage and introduced a device that would let you do all five of those things, put it in your pocket or in your purse. That was just ridiculous. And the thing that was, I would say, very endemic of any true innovation is it seemed completely natural. So when you think about creativity, when you think about leaping forward, often when you get it right, the thing that you did seems completely obvious after you do it. Before, nobody had ever thought of it, but after, people are of course it's like that. Of course. Yeah, a lot of hard work between of course and what you got to do. But that is really the thing. When we're going to leap forward, we have to take something like that gigantic, leap forward with the iPhone and move so far past everything that we would normally think about that people will think it was obvious. And of course, it should be that way. Okay, so as an exercise, let's try it. So iPhone, anybody else? Blockchain. Okay, come on. Blockchain's a database. Come on, really? What is blockchain? Okay, what is blockchain going to do for the world? Okay, no, tell me the gigantic leap forward that blockchain would make.
We're using NFTs now, and this is new industry.
Okay.
What does it do?
Okay, so the giant leap forward with blockchain. Right, okay, so it's going to unlock an entirely new universe of transactions, and maybe wealth, and maybe new opportunities for people, right? And that's what it's already doing. Good. So, go ahead.
Is this C play or this is F?
Right, you can do that. So these are, okay, so those, I still think it's a little loose.
Exchange of information.
Yeah, go ahead.
Internet.
The internet was, when it happened, it was a gigantic, completely changed everything about society, right?
I think it's the biggest.
That's pretty big. Yes, sir. Shout it out. Oh, the metaverse. Okay, all right. I'm going to argue with you on that one, okay? Because it turns out a few of us in this room have been working on the metaverse for 25 years. Honestly, there's nothing new about the metaverse. There's nothing new about it at all. It's what we've already been doing. It's just that there was a word attached to it now. It's some better technologies, they do more things, it's more satisfying, but it's been the same thing. But yes, being able to work spatially, being able to do something in ways that you can't do any other way is important. So I'll give you an example. In virtual reality, there's an application called Tilt Brush. And for artists and creative people, Tilt Brush is mind-blowing. It gives you the ability to take your controller or your hand and to actually paint in three-dimensional space. And then you see the paint hanging there with certain texture and color and lighting. And it's just shocking to an artist that you can look at Tilt Brush and bring things together. I mean, people do these beautiful pieces of art. That is a huge leap forward. Oh, tilt brush. So just like look up TILT brush, tilt brush. It's for VR headset like the Oculus Quest. It's super cool. I'll get it to you after. Okay, so for what I would love to do right now is just do a super quick exercise. Okay, we're talking about creativity. What can we do together to help the world leap forward creatively? New energy. Okay, great. So let's talk about that. This is a social good thing, right? Like we're trying to do this to save the planet, to help ourselves. So when we're thinking about these kinds of problems, we have to go back to what I said originally. You have to be willing to go so far out that you know what the outcome is, right? That's how we leap forward creatively. A lot of people will sort of, they'll work, it's almost like sculpting, right? They'll sort of form things and like keep it moving slowly. But for me, I like to try to start at the end, right? So I just want to imagine, what could that look like, right? What could energy, like a better energy future look like? We're not killing the planet. We all have enough energy, right? So think about the optimal, right? The absolute best way to do it. I can also leave you with one other little technique that I use when I'm trying to work on a very creative problem where I have to help the people or myself leap forward as far as I can go. The first thing is, when you're thinking about this idea, what is at the essence? What is the thing that is really at the heart of what you're trying to do, and eliminate everything else, right? It's technologists and people who sort of work with like a lot of different moving parts. We tend to overcomplicate things, and we forget that simplicity is always the best, right? The core, you have to know the essence. Why do I use the word essence instead of functionality or operation, like Jay would? I use the word essence because it's emotional, right? It's about people's feelings. Technology or how you're watching or your service or your energy. Like, I don't care about any of that. What is it going to do for people? What's it going to do for the person who's standing outside on the street trying to sell something, right, to make enough money to pay their rent? What's it going to do for the people who don't have enough? Like, tell me that. I can say this, I'm a technologist, but I'm an engineer. I don't care about the technology. It's never important. The technology is never important. Never important. It's always the people part. Okay, go ahead.
Can I give an example?
Yes. Okay, wait, hold on.
Okay, so 20 years from now, or maybe more, I would love to have like a chip or a machine, anything built in my body, so whenever I or anyone would get sick, to just ask or like touch it to self-heal. So this is the essence of health, and trying to self-heal with this technology. I think that would be great. And I was just telling my friend here about this. She's like, "You don't want to die? You want to live forever?" I'm like, "No, but why? I'm living. I want to live in a healthy way without pain or anything. And whenever I want to die, just turn off, and that's it."
Wow. Okay, I gotta say, I love that. Okay, and the reason that I love that idea is that you hit on something that most people wouldn't think about. That was excellent, by the way, thank you. So the thing that you touched on very briefly was, you said, I wish there was a chip that would sort of monitor, but you went a step further. You said it would heal people. Nobody ever talks about that. Even on Star Trek, right? Like when somebody's sick, they're like laying on the bed, they have like a tricorder. They have a machine that could do that, but it's not your body that you use with this. So I love that you actually completed, you went so far ahead, you invented an entire new thing that we don't even know yet. Right? It's in science fiction books, like yes, medical technology is trying to work on the idea of self-healing, like through like nanotechnologies, but that's so far out that it's exciting, right? But it seems completely natural, right? Like that fit the criteria perfectly.
And it's human.
And it's all about people, right? It went so far forward, and it helped me to know that it could really happen. And then for us, like of course nanobots are going to heal us, right? It's the obvious conclusion of all the work we've been doing. So for me, I would just ask all of you, okay, one more. We've got time for one more.
CRISPR, the manipulation of DNA in the human. So I think I just huge leap forward, which is it's a very short span of living so far, but very much successful in the way of controlling diseases, exactly what you were saying, without implanting anything in your body, but actually having parts of your body to fix your DNA and, pretty much keep you away from it. So that's a huge leap forward for humanity right there.
So CRISPR, for people who don't know, so CRISPR is the equivalent of Photoshop for genes, right? It's the ability to manipulate your genes, right, when you're connecting them.
Hi everybody. Okay, so I think that one giant leap forward is for us to have the ability to finally take care of musicians. I think music is the language of the soul. Doesn't matter where you're from, who you are. Music really saves us, helps us, inspires us, does all these different things. However, for hundreds of years, we have been, for lack of a better word, raping musicians. We don't take care of musicians, and musicians are struggling, have mental health issues, don't have a way and a way forward. So if we can figure out a way, we have, to fix the economic ecosystem for musicians, I think that that's going to help millions of people.
So we would leap forward to a day when people can actually benefit, the artists would benefit, just like we were talking about artwork or music or video, it doesn't matter, actually benefit from your work. So with that, I'm going to have you do a quick exercise so we can keep moving. But I hope that you remember, in any creative pursuit that you have, please try to leap forward as far as you can. You can make it real. I know you can. From the future, I've seen it. You've already done it, you just aren't quite there yet. So my question, my prompt for you, is when you encounter people who don't want to leap forward, how do you work with that? How do you get past that? How do you convince them that we do actually have to leap forward to make progress? So with that, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. It's going to be
Thank you very much, Mike.
I think one might.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, everybody, you have your question. You have about 2 minutes to answer this question. What's the question you have to answer?
So the question is, when you're doing something creative and you want to leap forward, but you encounter people who are not ready to leap forward, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with those people? How do you bring them along? How do you help them understand your vision?
Great. Okay, go to it. You've got 2 minutes to fix that problem, and we're going to bring on our next speaker.